But if this is crazy, babe, I don't want to be sane. I'm in love with you, Wendy.
Oh, Captain!
Good morning. Hello, chat. Welcome to the first episode of Lucky 7, as I call it. I'm going to bring out my panel, and we're going to start with Gary from Pop Culture Minefield, T-shirt historian, Keith in his shower curtain, and of course the always great and muscle pulling script doctor. How are you guys all doing tonight?
Great.
Good. I'm doing cheap.
I am down for talking cartoons and anime.
That sounds good. Let's just say hi to the chat. I'm just going to go look over because my hand and my mouse don't want to agree today. We have Real Weight Nation, M. Dastardly, hello. We also have Terry Wilkin hiding in the chat, followed by the fandom menace known as CJ, the troublemaker at heart, but great with the art. Other than that, Jace540, nice to see you. Let's get going. Who wants to start first? Since mostly, I think, Gary and Keith have a rich history when it comes to this type of starting.
Before we talk about the 70s, we should mention what led to the 70s animation boom. And we were talking about it backstage, the bunch of us. And of course, I was talking about the 1967 animation run. It was huge. It was so huge, it was in every comic book. Saturday morning, watch the new Lone Ranger, watch Herculoids. And of course, that created this hunger. And the cereal companies are like, this is awesome. We're going to make so much money. And then Kenner is like, we're going to sell so many toys. And it worked. That's how it was really started, is the selling of cereal and toys is what started Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have the knowledge. You guys have the floor. Let's get into the history.
Okay, well, you know what? Gantray Lawrence was an animation company out of Canada who had gotten the rights to do a Spider-Man animated series. And for many old enough to remember that show, in my personal opinion, it is the definitive Spider-Man animated series. The 1967... Yeah, it's the one that introduced the song Spider-Man. And you will not find anything as cool as what that show presented, because the use of jazz, having Stan Lee do his voiceover, very limited budget, but it was effective because it was bringing the comic to life. And all the stuff that they did, the animation wasn't pretty when compared to today's standards of animation, but it was effective. And I think you can find the complete series on DVD. So.
Okay. Really?
And now we enter into the 70s. And
we're just going to jump like that? I mean, we're not going to...
Yeah, I think that we prefaced it enough because...
because I was going to say Fantastic Four's another one. Aquaman's another one. Those were introduced at that time. You had... Casper had been running for years. The Beatles had their animated series.
And a lot of people to know that was not the Beatles voicing them.
Yeah.
Also, there was not the Beatles that voiced the characters in Yellow Submarine either. Actually,
nope, those were actors.
Yeah, same. I think they're the same actors because it's the same studio.
Yeah, but that also was a big regret from the Beatles themselves, because when they actually saw the movie,
I didn't want to be a cartoon.
they expressed regret in not having actually taken the opportunity to be a part of that. And wow. But I mean, all kinds of cartoons: Space Ghost, Teen Titans, the original Teen Titans. I think even Birdman. But yeah, okay, we can go into the 70s now. There's just so much. There's just so much, man. That's big doing that. Big doings.
Yep, and the 70s really was the big start for cartoons on Saturday morning. Even though technically it began earlier, it wasn't until about 1970 that it really reached a fever pitch to where you had cartoons from 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock in the morning. Every network.
Those were beautiful times, man, because that was the time where the kid could wake up early. You didn't have to worry about waking up.
Exactly.
You'd sneak downstairs. You would memorize the creaks in the stairs. It was a tradition. And you would play like Twister Walk all the way downstairs, get your snack, get your cereal, get whatever, and you would sit there in your house coat and slippers and watch those shows religiously.
Oh, hell yeah. You get your mom's salad bowl, pour in half a box of Cheerios or Fruit Loops.
Right?
Yep.
And then, of course, later you get yelled at, but it's better to apologize than to ask permission.
Wow. Man, that brings back so many memories.
What, the Fruit Loops or the Cheerios?
All of it, and also sitting in front of the TV watching your favorite cartoons. Wow. I wish there was something like that today.
Yeah, well, when a lot of these cancel culture moms started going after cartoons, and it started really as early as the 70s. The first to be hit by it was Tom and Jerry. And that was in 77. But when they got that win, they wanted to push it even further till by the 1990s, advertisers weren't allowed to advertise toys and cereals to kids. You could not directly market to kids. And that is what killed the 1990s, is when Saturday morning cartoons died.
Yep.
So basically the rise of the live action, especially Saved by the Bell, was the definitive death knell of Saturday morning cartoons. That's
you sure?
Exactly what that. Yes, I am sure.
I thought it was Circle Square. I literally thought it was Circle Square because that was just puppets and boredom.
No. NBC, the reason why they started with Good Morning Miss Bliss was because it was getting harder and harder to do cartoons. Look, Saturday morning cartoons was such big business. Animation studios were able to charge a lot of money. So they actually became expensive for a while, even though technically they weren't that expensive to produce. So it chased everybody into live action, especially NBC.
That's crazy. I never thought of that. So Save the Bell was kind of the killer of everything.
Yeah. There's a lot of people going, "Oh, Saved by the Bell, it was great." It was like, for those of us that, lived through all that, it's like, damn show. Oh, God.
Screech ruins everything.
But wasn't that like 91 or no, like 89-ish?
89,
By the
yes.
Bell?
Yes. Yeah. But NBC had been experimenting with live action off and on, like everyone else, but for years. They had NBC had experimented with doing an updated version of the Monkees called The Kids from Caper. And that only lasted maybe a season and a half. But
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, type that in. The Kids from Caper. They even recorded an album that was out for a while.
I remember the Sid and Marty Krofft show.
There are a lot of those. And it's scattered. Sid and Marty Krofft did not only Saturday morning, they did a few primetime things. These guys were the kings of what they did. But as far as Saturday mornings go, you began to see the writing on the wall in the mid-'70s as you started having cartoon shows where they would start hiring actors to introduce a lot of the cartoons. And eventually it just became all live action. I mean, why do you think CBS had a couple of live action television shows in the mid-1970s? They had stuff like Shazam, ISIS,
yes,
Arc 2.
Yeah.
They even had what was some of the other ones?
Jason
Bigfoot
of
and
Star
Wild
Command.
Boy. Yeah, but that one was actually the first of two shows. Because they had a pseudo sequel to that called Star Command.
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, no, not Star Command.
It was Jason from Star Command.
Yeah, they had another one called Space, not Space Cadets, but they did a sequel, and so the first one was with Jonathan Harris. The second one was with James Doohan.
Yeah, Jimmy Doohan was in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they
remember that.
used the same sets and same costumes for both shows, just different characters.
Yep.
And they had
And
Sid
then-
Haig.
I
love Sid
then
Haig.
He was on Jason Star Command. And
Yeah.
then they had you had things like oh man, what was the name of that show? You had as I said before, Bigfoot and Wild Boy, because that was what, 1976?
79.
79, okay. Electro Woman and Dyna Girl.
Yes.
Electro Woman and Dyna Girl.
I would just like to say now I'm not affiliated with this tone deaf singing at all. Not at all.
There's just so much. But Saturday morning cartoons were in the 70s. Oh my goodness. I mean, everything from oh, you know what? Early 1970s? That's Mission Magic.
Where did
Mission
Rocky
Magic.
and Where did Rocky and Bullwinkle come in though?
1960s,
That was
early
60s.
1960s.
Yeah.
Damn,
Early
that's a song.
1960s. Because no. The thing about it is there were certain cartoons that got recycled and continued to show. Remember, Johnny Quest was 1963, and it only lasted one season. But they kept bringing it back. And so by the time many of you guys were born and old enough to watch it on TV, it had been on television since 1963. Just
And
repeating that
one
one
of the
season.
biggest hits from Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
But somebody asked about the Bloodhound Gang. Do you know what happened to them?
Yeah, not off the top of my head.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
quickly
go ahead.
answer CJ quickly because I do remember Captain Power. They had the robots that had the special. It was like the light gun for if you're going through Nintendo. They
It
had
was
the
one of the
toys.
first
Yeah.
interactive games for
Yeah.
toy.
The
and
closing
TV.
credits every time you would be chasing that ship through like a really cheap Death Star montage. So it was
Oh,
actually really
Cap-
fun.
You talking about Captain Power?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain Power, and that
I-
so
Well,
here's
here's-
the future.
Yeah.
Here's
I
the
love
thing
that.
with that one. That's either 1986, 87. And one of the writers on that, the head writer for that, was J. Michael Straczynski,
Yep.
pre-Babylon 5. And the lead actor who played Captain Jonathan Power is an actor from here in Missouri.
He was also in a pilot for the A-Team.
18. Yep, he was the original face.
Tim Dunnigan.
Yep, Tim Denigan.
Too young and too handsome to be a Vietnam vet for the A-Team. So
That's what they said.
I still got all the
With
toys
Kurt
and
Kennedy.
VHS tapes of that.
But I love Captain Power. I love the
Yeah.
storyline. Anybody? Hey, do you remember how it ended?
Yes, it ended on a cliffhanger with
Uh-huh.
the
That's
pilot's
right.
death.
Cliffhanger, yeah.
And they even made a sci-fi anthology show on Hulu where they talked about the character, but they created a fictional version of him, of what happened to him. And I thought that was a really good nod to Captain Power.
They were
I love.
canceled in pre-production for season 2 because they did it. They
Yeah.
had the underwater Captain Power suit guy thing.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
had that toy. The weirdest thing is that I don't know why they did it, but they gave him like the Gonzo nose in the front of his mask. It was like, what is this? It was like hanging on it had like the L shape. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know
No,
what you're talking about.
They have had a reboot in works for quite some time now, since 2012. The reboot's called Phoenix Rising, and you can actually see some trailers and stuff for it on YouTube from 2016. But as far as I know, it has never actually gone through.
It really hasn't. And one of the things that actually hurt Captain Power was the fact that it's this really awesome, interesting sci-fi universe, but it's handled with kids' gloves. Some of the dialogue is very, very much for like a 10-year-old boy of the 80s, which is kind of hurt it a little bit because the concept is way too good for its execution. And even with some of the special effects they pulled into and the ideas for technology, all is great stuff. I mean, Jonathan Power's dad as like an AI program trying to guide him through the stuff. You've got Hawk, who is a general who's you can tell the actor playing him, who's a Canadian actor, if I remember correctly, he wanted to swear all the time, but he can't, so, because it's a kids show, and so they give him that attitude. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of way off topic here because we're like a good decade and change behind.
Yeah, we are.
I don't think it matters at this point. It's the fact that we're reliving a childhood and people can relate to this stuff because they grew up on it.
Yeah.
And-
Well, Tank was played by Arnold Schwarzenegger's
Sven
stunt
Ole
double.
Thorson.
Yep. And look, everybody that was cast in that show was really, really good. And they had the basic story that they ended up telling was engrossing. But yes, the dialogue was something that, 10-year-old boy dialogue. But you got to give it up to the writers who had to walk that fine line. But what killed Captain Power was that the whole show was tied to the toy sales.
Yeah.
So it was like
And
a
the
He-Man-esque
moment-
kind of thing.
Yes, very much so. So the moment the toys dipped, that show was done, no matter what. And the thing is, I think they got nominated for an Emmy. Is what they did. In fact, they got. Now I remember they got reviewed by Siskel and Ebert.
No way.
They reviewed the show. They loved it.
Wow.
You guys ready?
So, more soldiers of the future for Captain Power.
Yeah, now we're part of the battle. Look out! TV show fires back. Hey, what's that?
You guys remember all this, right?
Or Dread.
I had one of those.
Phantom Striker Jet fires invisible beams back at the TV. Or the Power Jet XT7.
So picture just like Nintendo light guns, but they would react with the actual special lights they had on the characters in that show, and it was pretty awesome.
Believe it.
Captain Power, jets and figures sold separately, batteries not included.
But yeah, that's pretty. Go ahead.
I was a little too old for that, but I enjoyed the show. And then when the thing about it is, I think this show premiered just before Star Trek: The Next Generation.
It did, yeah, because it was high school. It was freshman year of high school for me, and I remember being real into that.
Mm-hmm. So this was the only kind of science fiction thing until Star Trek showed up, and The Next Generation showed up and stole a lot of the thunder anyway. And then a few years later, we had Babylon 5. And I found out that the head writer for that show was the same guy that created Babylon 5.
No way. Do you think he got some of the designs or some of the actual
You're talking about
tropes from the show?
Straczynski, right?
Mm-hmm. No, he didn't. It was a job for him. He did a lot. He was one of the top work-for-hire writers out there. And he was just really good at what he did. Because I think he also was either co-showrunner or showrunner of Twilight Zone when CBS brought it back in the late 80s. And he worked on Murder, She Wrote. He worked all this other stuff. But yeah, he was working towards Babylon 5. And that was his opus. So, but yeah, getting back to the whole cartoon Saturday morning thing, there were a lot of changes, and there were some cartoons that just stayed around. Bugs Bunny and all the different incarnations. In fact, you can tell how old someone is based on how they know Rocky and Bullwinkle or how they say their name. Anybody younger who came along after 1967 calls it the Bullwinkle and Rocky Show.
It's Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Prior to that, it was Rocky and Bullwinkle, or under its original name, The Rocky Show.
No. Really?
Yeah. Rocky was the star.
Oh, that was obvious, yeah.
Yeah, Rocky was the star. And when the show first came on, it was just The Rocky Show. And then it became Rocky and Bullwinkle.
And there was always a mixture of other shows with it. And a lot of that led to another, Underdog. And Dudley Do-Right. They were all associated. A lot of the same writers, a lot of the same voice actors.
And George of the Jungle.
George of the Jungle, Tennessee
Watch out
Tuxedo,
for that
and what's the walrus's name? I forgot his name.
Something in Chumley.
Chumley.
Yeah, Chumley.
And of course,
and Go Gophers.
we can't forget, and they even made an animated movie recently, a 3D. It was a few years back of Sherman and
Mr.
and
Peabody.
Mr. Peabody.
Yeah, I actually liked that one. It was pretty good. That was
I
like
love
my
that
favorite
cartoon.
skit.
That was one
That
of
was
my
my
favorite cartoons. Yeah.
And Fractured Fairy Tales.
Oh yeah.
You know what else reminds me is like when you go into the Rocky and Bullwinkle, especially Boris and Natasha, they remind me of like the present day Pokemon for looking at Jesse and James, because they're always trying to do a master plan. They always end up failing, just like Natasha and Bullwinkle. So
do not be surprised if the people that created that were big fans of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
I'm beginning to think so.
Yeah, it's just must find squirrel in the bush.
I'm going to hold the bomb now. Natasha, help me.
Fearless
what a good
Nita.
cartoon.
I love that. Oh, there's
a lot of the subversive stuff that cartoon had. I mean,
there was subversive shit in all of it. Underdog. Oh my god. When I was a kid, man, I just like great cartoon.
Yeah.
As I'm an adult, going, oh my god. Oh my god. It's the things. It's like, holy crap. I don't want my kid. No, wait. It's safe to let them watch it because they're stupid. Okay.
They should put a warning. This cartoon is only for stupid people.
Well, I mean, again, that shows you the power of the writers back then. I mean, they were able to slip in some really just subversive stuff in some of these cartoons.
Well,
it's like the Warner Brothers stuff. When you get old enough to understand a lot of the subtext of the Warner Brothers cartoons, whoo.
Yeah, there's some racy stuff, even in the stuff that Spielberg produced with Animaniacs.
Oh yeah.
But let's I guess get back to 1970 in particular.
Yeah.
And I wanted to lay out some cartoons that I watched in 1970, and these aren't shows that came out in 70. Some of them came out earlier, but were going in 1970. And like number one for me, you fucking dick. Well, I like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? That was its last year, 1970, before it was canceled.
Damn, that sucks.
Well, that's when they started planning the Scooby-Doo movies, and you'd get more crossovers. Don Knotts, Vincent Price, and stuff. But 1970 was the final year of the original series, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And one of my other favorites, I'm going to say it, and I bet you Keith's going to go, oh my God, Groovy Ghoulies.
Oh, yeah.
I love that cartoon, man.
That sounds so familiar. Where have I heard it was Groovy Ghoulies? I got to look that up.
I remember.
It was all associated with the Archie label. It was a spinoff of Sabrina.
Yep.
And of course, Sabrina had a cartoon that year, as well as another Archie property, Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh, everyone remembers Josie. Who doesn't remember Josie? Like, come on.
Here's the thing about all that. This was one of those instances where you introduce a character in the comics, or I think in the case of Sabrina, I think she was introduced first in the animated series.
Archie's.
Yeah. Archie animation, and then she became a comic.
She didn't get her own show until 72, I think. So I misspoke when I said that.
But a lot of people think that live action series was what it was, and anybody who grew up with Sabrina was like, that's not Sabrina.
But before, because up here it was on Global TV, like for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But before they had that real life one with Sabrina the Witch, wasn't there an animated series before that, or was that after the actual real life?
No,
one?
that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the original Sabrina animated series. Yeah.
Okay, but there was another animated series that was also in between or after the real life one. There was two.
Well, it was a whole Archie's thing. It was the return of the Archies, return of Sabrina, and they'd have little short stories. And they would also cross because they went to the same school.
Mm-hmm. There's this documentary on YouTube about the whole Archie phenomenon and about how long the character's actually been around and how when they first created the character and how they kept it going for decades. I think Archie's been around since at least 1940.
Well, he was part of the Reader's Digest series of comics too, right? So.
Yep.
And then he actually broke out into his own comic in the arch, into the Reader Digest style and size of the book too. So do you think that that's how it actually became its size, due to the fact it was in Reader's Digest first?
And answer Amanda Jillian presents Super Friends' first appearance was in '73.
Yep.
And that was with
same
Casey
year
Kasem as Robin.
Yep. And that was also the same year as Star Trek. And ABC made sure to
the
put
animated series. That's right.
Yeah, they put Super Friends. They made sure that Super Friends came on the same time as when NBC put Star Trek on. They ran them in, against each other, and Super Friends destroyed Star Trek. When that cartoon hit, when Super Friends hit, I'd say by that Monday, every kid was talking about it. Every kid had that logo either on a lunchbox or on a bookbinder or on a poster. And everybody was like talking about who their favorite characters were. You know, is it Batman and Robin? Is it Aquaman? Is it Wonder Woman?
Aquaman had his own cartoon show prior to the Super Friends. One season.
Oh, they all did. No.
Yeah.
They all did. Superman, Batman, and Aquaman all had their own shows, but it was from a different company that did it. Because Hanna-Barbera had the rights to make the Super Friends, but they didn't make the cartoons that were on in the 60s. Now, in the late 1960s, mid to late 1960s, you had a Batman and Robin cartoon, you had a Superman cartoon, you had Aquaman and Aqualad and Mirror, along with the Justice League minus Superman and Batman, and Teen Titans minus Robin. But it's the original Teen Titans, all of those were cartoons in the late 1960s.
I'm trying to remember Starfire back then. It's just like
No. What you're talking about is the third incarnation of the Titans from the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay? The only characters that were introduced that were brand new in that version of the Titans and were created for the comic book that is a part of that was Cyborg, Starfire, and Raven. All the other characters, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, Robin, and Beast Boy, were all previous members of the Teen Titans. In fact, there were so many members of the Teen Titans, they took a page out of Marvel's book and had a Titans East and a Titans West Coast.
Yep.
And the Titans West Coast had the daughter of the Joker, aka Harley Quinn, named the Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. You had Hawk and Dove. You had the original Batgirl, Betty Kane. You had
Speedy, right?
And Beast
Speedy
Boy
was part of that.
Yeah, Speedy was part of Titans East, though.
Oh, Titans East, okay.
With Kid Flash, Speedy, who was Green Arrow's sidekick, Wonder Girl, Robin, and Aqualad. And when they did the animated cartoon in the 60s, it was everybody but Robin.
Well, he was still heartbroken that no one would date him, right? It's the whole pretense, right? No one wanted Robin didn't even want to date Robin.
They also took Batman and Superman out of the Justice League cartoons.
Oh, that made it boring.
So it was just Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and the Flash.
Yep.
And
this
was
and the Martian Manhunter.
But this was the first Green Lantern that was allergic to wood, right?
No.
Alan Scott?
No.
So that was the they did the Hal Jordan Green Lantern in the show, didn't they?
Yeah. By the 1960s, all they did was they took these characters that had been popular in the 1940s and decided to put a new spin on them. They rebooted the characters. So the Flash and Hawkman and Green Lantern got a major reboot. They decided to keep Wonder Woman as she was. They kept Batman as he was. And they kept Superman as he was. But the original Flash, which was Jay Garrick, the original Green Lantern, which was Alan Scott, and then Carter Hall, who was Hawkman, and that's the whole reincarnation thing. Which, when they reinvented Hawkman in the '60s, they made him an alien. I mean, there's all this stuff. I mean, there's just wow. But yeah, Marvel and DC both had contracts for animation, but you also realized at that time who the more dominant company was. DC had been dominant for decades. Once they had Superman and Batman, they pretty much ran the table, and they did. And you had generations of fans who grew up with DC being the most dominant comic book publisher out there. Marvel technically went out of business for about 2 to 3 years. So there's a gap there. So that when they came back at the beginning of the 1960s, it was a whole new attitude, and with Stan Lee running the show. Prior to that, Stan Lee wasn't in control. Stan Lee helped to bring everything back and decided to remodel the new version of Marvel based on how he thought things should run. Thus, the reason why he had full control to create all these Marvel characters. And people don't do the research to understand that there are 3 characters that are as old as Marvel, but that a majority of people know Marvel characters that are not as old as the company. Iron Man, Thor, Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four have only been around since the 60s. But the 3 characters that predate modern Marvel are the original 3. Submariner, the Human Torch, the original Human Torch.
The robot one, right?
Yes, and Captain America. Those are the original 3. And they've been around as long as Marvel Comics.
That's crazy.
In fact, Submariner also has another distinction. Not only is he, I think, the first Marvel character, he's also the first. They went back in the 60s and did a retroactive thing for him. They made him the first mutant. So he is the first mutant before even the X-Men.
That is crazy, Keith. You are a storyteller, and I gotta say, you do tell stories well. No one's fallen asleep yet. I haven't seen any Z's in the chat, so you're doing good, man. But I'm going to ask me, since we're talking about the 70s, we're going to all this history. What are your first top 3 cartoons of the 70s that you remember the most as a kid, or in your age, in your 10s, 20s? I don't know how old you were. I'm not going to go into that, but do you have a favorite 3 that you love the most?
I was born in '66, so a lot of this stuff escaped me. But reruns and syndication, that's the whole thing about the 70s. If you were someone that missed out on a lot of what the 60s were, don't worry, it was coming back around for you because you were able to watch all of it. It's not like we had cable. Syndication was king. So you could watch. I've pretty much been raised with a lot of the TV shows that people older than myself when I was in my 20s was surprised that I knew about. But that was only because syndication. So
now I just shared an image for Keith to see if he recognizes this little cartoon that came out in 1970 that I guarantee he watched.
Oh my god!
I remember that.
Oh my god!
I remember the Harlem Globetrotters cartoon.
I remember that too.
Because I was, and I guarantee Keith was too, huge Globetrotter fan. And when they started that cartoon, I'm like, fuck watching the Beatles. I don't miss that show. I want Harlem Globetrotters.
They were so cool.
I was disappointed to learn that, kind of like with another show, kind of like with the Beatles, they didn't do all the voices.
Nope.
In fact, these were professional
When I found that out, I was pissed.
I like how the dog is even wearing shoes, and it just looks so ridiculous.
It is, but it was the 70s. You got, I mean, what they.
You had to wear shoes on a dog for the 70s.
Well,
right?
there was also a rule at Hanna-Barbera. Every show had to have a dog.
Yeah, a dog or some type of an animated pet character. And that was a big
based
problem.
on Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, that was a big problem, though, for Johnny Quest. When they were designing Johnny Quest, the original idea was not to have a cartoon pet. They wanted to it to be as realistic as possible. And Hanna-Barbera just sort of snuck that on there. And so they hired a guy who designed all of it. Alex Toth designed all of it. But he wouldn't create a cartoon pet. He said, this is your team. You animate this. And then they snuck Bandit on. That pissed Toth off. I mean, pissed him off. He could not stand that dog. So, and I didn't answer your question. If I had to pick one, I would say Spider-Man. You know, that would be at the top of the list. And then
Spider-Man ended in 1970. It was its third season.
And then if I'm picking it from the 70s, to be fair, most definitely Harlem Globetrotters, because I know I watched that. I watched the hell out of that. Man, what's another? Well, you've already picked it, but Scooby-Doo, because everybody watched Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, and its last season was 1970.
But here's a little trivia about me. I am a Scooby-Doo purist, so I don't care for any of the things after the original series ended. I don't care for any of it. I hate all of the stuff that they added to it, and they added a lot. You know,
are you saying you don't like Scrappy Doo?
God, I hate that character. God, I hate that character.
We all hated Scrappy. Not one friend of mine growing up liked that character.
I'm gonna lie here. I think people did like him, but they were hoping he would be on the bumper of like the Mr. Mobile car by accident. Fred would back up, and you actually, no more Scrappy Doo. I'm sorry, but come on.
Looks like we'll be scraping Scrappy off the tire.
Oh yes.
Now here's an obscure one, Keith. I bet you don't remember this one. I just shared it with Steven.
You're joking me. This is real?
This was real.
I remember the Jerry Lewis.
It lasted 2 episodes and not one child watched it.
I did.
No, I saw this in college. Someone had it on VHS tapes.
And guess what? Here's another little thing. Just like with all the other things, people actually believe that Jerry Lewis did the voice, and he didn't. Would you like to? Can you guess who the voice was?
Don Rickles.
No.
Neil Diamond, maybe.
Nope.
Keith Richards.
Don't look it up.
I can hear Gary typing. Yeah.
I'm not typing. My hands are right here.
Okay, you want to know who?
Who?
Yeah.
Okay.
David L. Lander.
Who?
Squiggy from Lenny and Squiggy.
Get the hell out of
shit.
here.
Yeah,
no way.
that was one of his first jobs.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Well, getting into the trivia stuff, Keith, maybe you can answer this question, especially considering the fact that like Spider-Man was one of your favorite of the cartoons. So what was the deal with why in the Spider-Man cartoon they only ever used the Green Goblin, Mysterio, and the Rhino in limited iterations of the show? Like they're rarely in that series.
Mm-hmm. That's because they didn't have enough money. It's the same reason why they ended up going with it. Why they didn't hire ILM to do the visual effects for Star Trek V. They ended up hiring this small company out of New Jersey to do all the visual effects for Star Trek V. Well, that's what happened with Marvel. As I said before, Marvel Comics, while successful with a certain age group in the 60s and a lot of people who were hippies and other things, was not successful compared to DC. DC controlled everything. These guys would show up at conventions. DC people could actually attend a convention being driven in limos, and they did that on purpose to show up a lot of the Marvel guys. Marvel guys had to take cabs if they were lucky.
CJ just sent me this. Did you ever read this article?
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's from 2017.
Why did the federal government archive hundreds of tweets about finding Scrappy Doo's corpse in Miami?
Oh, if he's going to be killed, that's the one place he'll happen.
It would probably be, some man from Florida killed him.
Yeah, but they're not a professional, because a real professional would, make sure you never found his corpse. Remember, it's the '70s, right? So
Not only that, like Miami's a serial killer capital.
yeah,
We got ones like, I can't believe it's been 10 years since they found Scrappy Doo dead in Miami. No money, no family. Scrappy Doo found dead in the middle of Miami. Scrappy Doo was found dead in Miami. Oh
I can't laugh. I can't laugh at that.
I remember Scrappy Doo.
It's too close to what actually happened to somebody that deserves a lot of respect.
Okay, I will not do it anymore.
Bill Finger died in 1974. Alone in an apartment, barely any heat. The guy who was responsible for basically bringing us Batman. So
Batman, Green Lantern, a few others too.
But Bob Kane took the credit, and Bill Finger got nothing. Except maybe Bob Kane years and years later going in his biography saying, I should have said something.
Wow, thank you.
You're kidding me, really? you should have said something? You think?
Well, Dadman Walking brings up a point since Gary's the one who actually created this thumbnail, and he's saying that he sees Gatchaman and Battle of the Planets and G-Force in the background. So, was that watched by anyone here by chance?
Yes. You hadn't asked me what my favorites were yet.
I watched it in the 70s when it came out in 78 as the American series.
Well, okay, T-shirt, what about you? What was your favorite top 3 for now?
Well, in preparation for this, I actually had to go back and do some research because, that's what I like to do. So, you asked for my top 7 originally. I gave you 9. But my first one is kind of a cheat because it was Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, and the Super 7 because that also had Web Woman, Batman and Robin, Freedom Force, Micro Woman and Super Stretch, Moray and Manta, and the live-action Jason and Star Command associated with it. But I also loved Spider-Woman, Plastic Man Comedy Adventure Show, Godzilla King of the Monsters, the Batman Superman Hour, Battle of the Planets, Star Blazers, Jaina of the Jungle, and the Super Friends. I did my homework. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But if out of all of them, what would you pick?
Out of all those?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
probably Gatchaman or Battle of the Planets because, that was not only... That actually wasn't on Saturdays for me. That was on weekdays in the mornings and the afternoons. So I can fondly remember watching that show and even taking a towel and gluing on little tabs to it and running around like one of the Gatchamen.
There better be pictures of that, or otherwise I'm gonna Photoshop your avatar.
There's no pictures of that.
All right.
Gary's muted.
Why are you muted? I didn't mute you. He's playing victim. He thinks I muted him. The guy says, "Don't listen to him. He's a bullshitter. He's such a bullshitter."
My wife had the hiccups, and I muted the thing so you guys didn't have to hear that. Or had a hiccup. But yeah, we use clothespins to put the towels on our shirts.
Yeah, we did. Oh, and there is something to note about that stuff back then too. I think it's kind of important because of our wonderful cancel culture today. But yeah, during that Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, Super 7, you had Freedom Force, which the Freedom Force was Isis, Super Samurai, Sinbad, Merlin, and Hercules. So
I love that comedian.
Yeah. Well, no, not that one. But the deal is that was a diverse group of heroes to begin with, and that was done intentionally. And then Micro Woman.
Diversity didn't exist until today.
Yeah, diversity didn't exist until today. And Micro Woman and Super Stretch were both black characters on that show.
Oh, shit. I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to make you bigger. My bad, T-shirt. Go ahead.
Huh?
I clicked the wrong button. Never mind. You didn't notice. Okay, good. No one saw that.
I'm good. But yeah, we had diversity even way back then, and it was already in our cartoons and stuff. So, we didn't need forced diversity.
I'll force your diversity.
Keith, you remember those, right? Please tell me you remember those.
Yeah. And here's another little thing. The company that made those cartoons would often there are certain companies that would use rotoscoping. You know what rotoscoping is?
Yes, I do.
Certain companies would reuse the same rotoscoping for various cartoons.
The folks who did He-Man did that all the time.
Yeah, but before He-Man, they have the same walking pattern that you would see in the 1966 or running in the 1966 Lone Ranger series that they then brought back in the 70s. And also they used the same one from that to use for Tarzan. And to use for Flash Gordon.
Yeah. Filmation was pretty notorious for that.
Oh God, but they were the last American animation studio. That's another little bit of trivia. Filmation was the last American studio. And unlike other animation studios, the entire process was done in one building. Different floors for different things, but the entire thing was done and animated in one building.
Did not know that.
And there's again, what I love about the internet is, especially YouTube, you can find documentaries on anything. You can find the history of Filmation animation there. And along with the Johnny Quest documentary that is so interesting.
Is Tim Matheson part of the Johnny Quest documentary? Because he was a child actor doing that show.
Actually, this documentary that I'm talking about was actually put together by a fan for another fan's birthday, and people found it and blew that thing up. And it was actually done by, you could take what they've got, all of the material they have, and bring in famous people and insert interviews, and it would be the most complete documentary ever. But they so far nobody's ever approached the guy who made it about doing that, because it's got information in there that I never knew watching the show all this time. I never knew what the section that they worked for was called.
Was it the building though, Keith? That's what I think Kate's bringing up. Is that actually true?
The Brill Building in New York. I want to say yes, but I can't be sure. I actually thought it was in L.A. because Tim Matheson had to drive to it every day. That was the other thing about Tim Matheson. He was already driving by the time he did the voice for Johnny Quest. He drove to the studio every day to voice Johnny.
Do you remember
was
the
he
other
14 or
character he played?
13 back then?
I think he was slightly older.
Yeah, I think he was 17. But do you remember what other big character he played the voice of?
Oh, jeez.
He
Not
played
off the top of
the
my head.
voice of Jace on Space Ghost.
Yes, he did. Space Ghost, nothing like it. Space Ghost, nothing like that.
And that was Gary Owens from Laugh-In, that voice of Space Ghost.
He's the original Space Ghost.
That's right.
She's saying no, that was music that the LA building. So I think that's what she's referring to.
Huh?
Music?
No. She's talking about the building that she put up there was where they did the animation, and what I was remembering was where they did the music. I was under the understanding that everything they did was in one building. But yeah, you're probably right. I probably misremembered.
Curse you, Keith!
But you know what? I will try to find the links and share it with you guys in case you want to see the whole history of that company, because those guys kicked some serious butt. I mean, they knew how to do stuff. But I mean, it may seem cheap compared to a lot of other things that came out, but they knew how to get stuff done, and they created some incredible cartoons.
Sad thing is, one of my favorite cartoons made it just slightly out of reach of our show, which 1980 was Thundar the Barbarian, which is by far one of my absolute favorite cartoons ever made.
And guess who did the concept art for that?
I'm guessing it was Jack Kirby, because he was also going to do a Sunday strip for that.
Yep.
And I don't know if Buscema had any work on that too, but you could see Kirby all over that show.
Well, Jack Kirby's actually in an episode of the Incredible Hulk television series.
No way, really?
Yep.
Talk about
Playing
the one
a
for
police. He plays a police sketch artist.
Okay, I'm going to have to go back and look at this because I don't remember that.
Yeah, I saw it on the Kirby Museum on Twitter, and they posted a screenshot from an episode of The Incredible Hulk that I had to go, I don't remember that. I do not remember that.
And you know who else worked on that show? Was Alex Toth.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that show was...
The same Alex Toth who worked on Johnny Quest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic show.
I want to share one last one for me, because I've gone through a bunch, but I wanted to share this one to see if Keith remembers watching this.
Ooh, I remember.
Oh yeah. Yes, I remember
this is my
that
favorite
show.
part.
But why is the butt hanging? What?
Yeah,
I think I do remember the Grasshoppers.
good old Fritz Freeling, man,
and David DePath. You gotta put in DePath because he was smart enough to get Fritz Freeling working with him, and the two of them just like, wow.
It was I very much loved that show, but it took them forever to get the episodes done, and we got it from 1970, 71, and 72, but there aren't very many episodes.
Wow.
It was sort of like spread out the way they did Jerry Anderson's UFO.
Yeah.
But I loved that show as a kid, Dr. Dolittle, because I was a big Dr. Dolittle fan from the movie with Rex Harrison.
There we go. Found it. Yeah. It's about 2 hours and something odd minutes, but you know what? It's time well spent.
We have to take a quick moment right now. Gentlemen, please start your shitting on engines. Look who has just entered the chat.
Oh, look who's here.
Who is that?
I don't know.
Is it Yeti? It is Yeti.
Oh, I keep calling him Yaki. It's Yeti. Sorry.
I thought it was Yet I Cast.
Fuck you, Yeti. Oh, beat. I need to nap.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I need a nap. Can somebody get me some warm milk? Fuck you, Yeti.
Oh man. But let's go on. Like Gary, you've given your top three right so far. Like, so guess where I'm just.
I gave
right
all.
now.
No, I did more than that. I did a whole bunch. I went through them really quickly.
All right, script.
Anime, though, when it comes to anime, I won't start my list on anime until 73. So that'll be in 2 weeks.
So you guys all have time to just leave a like and not show up. So I'll give that freedom now, just in case, you know.
Yeah. And mine were not all 70. They were all over.
I don't care because I have no knowledge of 70s stuff, so I don't even have a list. I just came here to start. I just want to start to listen to the actual history because the way these guys deliver stuff, like, it's great. I like learning about this stuff.
Well,
animation.
there is something you might want to know about Fat Steven. The Fantastic Four cartoon that I saw on Saturday morning cartoons, the Human Torch was not present on that show, and the original reason why that everybody was circulating was that they were afraid that children would, douse themselves in gasoline and set themselves on fire.
I remember that.
So instead they had Herbie the robot, who actually did appear in the comic books.
Later.
Yeah.
He did it later, and I hated that character.
Everybody hated that character. But I think the actual reason that the torch was not included was not because of that. That was just the rumor. I'll have to do a little bit of research, but if you'll give me a moment.
Okay,
well, the joke was that the Human Torch was gay, according to the producers. They didn't want that on there.
Are you serious?
That's one of the rumors, yeah. I don't believe it, but that's one of the rumors.
Well, Script, you're up, man. Let's hear what you have to say.
Oh, yeah. So, again, I went by decade just because for cartoons that I watched as a kid that I knew spawned in the 70s, there weren't a whole lot. But Fantastic Four was one of them. I did watch the classic C-Lab. Was not a huge fan of it, but it was a cartoon that occupied time.
Oh, I love
C-Lab 2021 way better.
Yeah.
I really liked the Spider-Woman cartoon just because I was as a kid I was in love with Jessica Drew. That Spider-Woman, she was a gorgeous lady for a cartoon character. And because we had one of the local affiliates out in my area was CKVR, and when they did have cartoon shows, they did a big block. So it was like Star Trek, Super Friends, The Adventures of Batman, Dynomutt, Dog Wonder was another one, and Spider-Woman, and those were the ones that I watched the most. And then it was YTV, I think, that had Fantastic Four, like the one with Herbie, as a kid. And those were the ones that I watched. I mean, again, I don't know the difference between like Challenge of the Super Friends versus the Super Friends, and then the Batman Superman hour, because they were all the same time slot.
Yeah, those came out in 78 through 1980. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were all in the same block of time, so I would never know if there were different shows or not. But the animation was remarkably similar across all three of those. So yeah, that's those are the ones that I kind of grew up with and really liked. And then Doug's Spider-Man, but it was always the same like one season that they played over. They didn't do anything from season 2 or 3. I didn't see that till I was in college when they released the full series for that short period.
Oh, yeah. I found the answer too, but I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you go right ahead. That's basically all I got for 70s cartoons.
Okay. Yeah. As I said, the rumor was that people were afraid that that kids would set themselves on fire trying to emulate the Human Torch, and that is the new Fantastic Four that was made in '78.
Yep.
However, the actual reason is because Marvel was licensing its characters out. And at the time the cartoon was being made, Human Torch was owned by Universal, who was looking to create a live-action series around Human Torch, kind of like The Incredible Hulk. But that series never happened. So,
hey, notice on this graphic,
mm-hmm.
you have 2 live-action series: Lancelot and Link, Secret Chimp, and Here Come the Double Deckers. See, notice, this is animation was starting to get expensive because of all the talent and everything else involved. And so you started going with live action, which even though technically that should be a little, well, whatever. It here you go. This is the coming or the beginning of the end. Because once you start introducing live action, then it's all downhill eventually.
Yeah,
so.
But I got to tell you, of those that are there, I like Skyhawks and Lancelot Link Secret Chimp.
Oh, that was so good.
Does anyone want to answer Dadman's question quickly?
So did anyone else find the Wonder Twins? Oh, fuck yeah, I couldn't stand them.
Yeah,
I didn't find them annoying.
Enjoyed Wendy and Marvin more than I did the Wonder Twins.
I thought the Wonder Twins were okay. I just never understood how come I never saw them in the comic books.
And then you found out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it happens all the time. This is and it's not just an animation thing, it's a Hollywood thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to add characters to bring kids in, to give them. It's like, wait a minute, you're adapting this so that kids can watch. What about these characters isn't fulfilling enough to where you actually need to add additional characters that A, don't exist, and B, aren't really as funny as you guys seem to think that they are? I'm looking right at you, Starfire.
Hey,
well,
you lay off my Starfire. You lay off my Starfire.
The same stupid logic, Keith, that's used with, what they're doing today, where the whole inclusion thing. It's like kids aren't going to watch it unless there are kids in it. That's just dumb.
Yeah.
So why'd they put the fucking monkey in there then?
Because monkeys were watching.
I hated that fucking monkey more than the twins.
Well, kids like monkeys. Put a monkey in it.
I don't understand that logic. I don't understand any of that stuff, and it was just it was mind numbing. But again, the reason why I enjoy Wendy and Marvin more is that they were a part of the original version of the Super Friends when it debuted, and so as far as I'm concerned, they're legit. The Wonder Twins weren't, but I understand why they had to be replaced because they needed Mr. Spock. I mean, they needed two kids that seemed to have lame-o powers, and yeah.
I have a question, though. Do you think the Wonder Twins were a metaphor for the Osmonds?
No.
The Osmonds had their own show.
Yeah, they
did. Jackson 5, and that'll be another episode for another year. But Jackson 5 and the Osmonds got their own cartoons.
And?
Wait. Do you remember the great baseball player? And I'm not talking about Hank Aaron.
Baby
got
Ruth?
his own cartoon. Willie Mays.
Yeah.
There's another baseball player that got his own cartoon in the 90s.
Yeah,
along with Wayne Gretzky and Michael Jordan.
Yep.
I don't remember that.
Well, Rick Springfield got a cartoon from the same company that did the Jackson 5 and the Osmonds. It's called Mission Magic, and this was back early when he was the teen idol, fresh from Australia, because he still had his accent, kind of.
I think Tim Horton made out better than everybody because he still got his coffee shops.
Yeah, but their coffee's crap now.
Yeah, they're owned by Burger King.
Yeah, they changed the bean, and I think McDonald's got their bean, and their coffee has not been the same since. Like, I don't even have the urge to buy it anymore. They've literally killed a lot of the people who used to love the coffee.
We just outed the two Canadians in the chat.
Well, we know we're Canadian.
But yeah, there's. Oh, go ahead.
Is Parrothead here? Still in the chat? Because Parrothead just sent me some private messages over on Twitter, and I'm like, "What? Oh,
he sends random. He
Ole
sends
and
random.
Lena.
Yeah, he sends random memes and stuff. So if
because I brought up earlier, my name is something in Sven earlier, and so he just sent me some stuff to. I get it now. Okay. Get the name and stuff.
And now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
I still remember the Robonic Stooges cartoons that were out in the 70s. Those were because the Three Stooges were still alive. Well, Curly wasn't obviously, but Mo was, and Larry was.
Another question quickly. When was the Globetrotters cartoon? Rowan's asking.
Oh,
1970.
Yeah.
It's right there on the screen. It says anime 1970. That was the year we're supposed to be talking about.
And Scatman Crothers was the voice of one of the. I think he was the voice of Curly. Yeah, he was Curly.
Hong Kong Phooey, number one super guy.
Now, Hong Kong Phooey was after that.
Yep.
So that was Scatman too.
Scatman did a lot of voices. A lot of voices.
And had to have work.
Yeah, his big break was the Chico and the Man.
That was a great show.
Mm-hmm. It would have kept going too if he hadn't killed himself, Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie Prinze. Yeah.
One of the most popular shows on TV at the time.
I love it. I have I have old episodes of it.
Oh, awesome! Just good TV.
Yes,
really good TV.
I have the entire series. I just
you lucky fella.
I love that show.
But Freddie Prinze and Jack Albertson. Yeah. But here's another one. Do you know what Saturday morning cartoon had Mark Hamill in the cast?
Ooh.
Aside from Batman the Animated Series?
Aside from.
Yeah, this is pre. I mean, we're talking the 1970s. Don't look it up, Gary.
I'm not looking it up.
Look it up.
I'm not going to give an answer, but I know the answer, and I'm still going to look it up to make sure I'm right.
Please don't tell me it's like Jabberjaw.
I'm not saying it.
Let me give you a hint to make it fair.
Corey Anders?
It was based on a hit 1960s television series.
Oh, shit.
They animated.
Yep, I knew it. All right.
Carvet Summer?
Oh, now, what'd you say, script?
The Addams Family?
That's a good guess, but nope.
Corvette Summer?
I
That's
would
a
watch
good guess,
cartoon of
but
that
no.
one.
I would
I'd
have said
watch.
Speed Buggy, but that's a live action.
Debbie Does Dallas.
No.
No.
Debbie
Oh.
Does Dishes.
Here, let me help you. When they made
That's
this
a real
animation, when they made the animated version, just like they did for a lot of Saturday morning cartoons in the 70s, they made the characters slightly younger. So they made them teenage versions of the adult characters that they played in the 60s series.
Here's a
Damn.
hint.
Well, there's a
Here's
Partridge
hint.
Family in space that was out there. I remember that vaguely. But
Yeah.
Mark Hamill was in the Partridge Family as an actor.
Yeah, he made a guest appearance.
Here's your hint.
I Dream of Jeannie. Are you shitting me?
Yep.
No,
Oh.
no,
Yes.
no.
Yep. And
Was it early
Was he
guess
the
who he
lamp or
played?
was he Genie?
Guess who he played?
Genie.
The genie.
Nope.
No.
Who?
Well, it had to be the part played by, what's his name, Darren? Or no?
No.
Hagman.
Major Nelson.
Larry Hagman.
Major Nelson.
Before he was, Larry Hagman's character. And
Yeah.
the ironic thing was, a few years later, he ended up acting opposite Larry Hagman in a made-for-TV
Brought it up
movie.
in conversation.
He brought it up in conversation. He's like, I played you in an animated version. He said Hagman thought that was the funniest thing. He just got a big laugh out of the whole thing. But, that was Mark Hamill did that against the wishes of his acting coach. And no, not his acting coach, but the guy he had a job. He was working on a soap opera, and he ended up doing that when he wasn't working on the soap opera, and they didn't like that. But that was his first foray into animation in the early 1970s, playing on I Dream of Jeannie.
That is fantastic. I did not know that.
Well, there's a lot about Mark Hamill. I mean, he knows fluent Japanese.
No, I didn't.
He wasn't born in the United States. He's a military kid.
His dad was a naval officer, right? Yeah.
Yep. And so he was born in Japan. But he's always been into comic books, and he was a geek from the word go. And so he knew all this geek stuff, and I mean, just the dude he's got all these stories.
He's so fucking cool.
He is cool.
He made Comic Book the movie.
Yes, he did. But it's
Hanna-Barbera also broke, because Rebecca's bringing this up, did something that changed the how animation was done for television. They broke the mold of leaving 24 frames per second to doing 18 frames per second.
Yep.
Which reduced the budget by a huge amount.
Yep.
And that was how they got started doing the animation, was shooting everything. They would show it at 24 frames, but it was shot at 18.
Well, you know the story about how Filmation got started. Lou Schmier and his business partner.
Is that a real name?
Yeah, it's a real name. You know it's a real name.
Schmier. I know.
They had an opportunity and went into a meeting with the people from DC, not Warner Brothers. So this is pre-Warner Brothers buying DC, back when DC was DC. And they ended up getting the contract to make all these cartoons. They didn't have enough people working to be able to fulfill their contract. So they brought in friends of theirs who worked for other places, including a few animators from Disney, Hanna-Barbera, and they brought them in and started them working to help them finish.
That is so
One of my
crazy.
favorite stories. And this was to fulfill the contract for the original Superman animated series that they did in the 60s. So, there you go.
Sounds
Very
like
cool.
Keith's getting tired.
No,
No.
I just, there's so much. There is so much about this stuff in that time period that it's mind-boggling.
It is.
And the amount of work and everything that went into just doing that. I mean, children's television was cutthroat back in the day. Live action children's television was really cutthroat. They fired a guy who was the host of a show because he had he wasn't working hard enough and long enough. And this is back when, in the early days of TV, where you were using these huge lights that would pretty much just melt you right then and there. And you had to use makeup to show up on camera. And there was a guy who ended up, back then they used to film these shows back to back to back, right? And so this children's host was like on his third or fourth episode, filming in front of these kids. He passed out due to the heat.
Jeez.
They fired him for passing out. He
What?
lost his
What?
show. Yeah,
No,
he lost his show.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yes, he got
No.
fired.
That's
Wow.
why. Why would you do something like that? That's so stupid.
Or
then
Howdy
you lose the
Doody.
day of a guy doing a show if he passes out in the midst of the full day production. So
Mhm.
you end up
And
losing labor. Yeah.
this is live TV. Well, not live TV, but it was live for that time. But yeah, he passed out. He just he went down. And then Buffalo Bob, who was the real power behind the Howdy Doody show, he had a heart attack and didn't show up for the show, and they had to replace him with Gabby Hayes, who was a film actor. Yes, Gabby Hayes replaced him for like 2 or 3 weeks until Bob could recover enough to come back to do the show.
Wow.
Wow.
Cutthroat.
That is damn cutthroat. That's almost as bad as like Twitter.
It was bad because television, especially to get kids to watch. I mean, they would try anything to get kids to watch, and if it meant almost killing somebody on the screen, they
do
did it. In fact, one of the shows, Buster Crabbe, many of you may know that name.
Yep.
Was an Olympian who became an actor and became famous for portraying both Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. Well, in the 1950s, they ended up making a Flash Gordon television series, but they didn't cast him. So he ended up making a television series about the French Foreign Legion, a guy who was part of the French Foreign Legion. He had a kid sidekick. They actually went to Saudi Arabia to film it. They went overseas to make this kid's show.
Jeez.
I couldn't believe that. And it was just like, wait a minute, it's just him and you could have filmed that just, pow, okay. They went all out. So, but
I can hardly wait till we get to later and talk about Wonderbug, a TV show that I watched as a kid. Talking Dune Buggy.
Yeah, it was like an early version of it was like a later live action version of
it was a later live action version of Speed Buggy. And which was a cartoon. And in fact, that's what I thought it was. I thought it was the same thing. They just, they made it, because I'm a kid and you think stupid shit like that. But I found out later, like the black dude on the show went on to be in like one of the most.
he gets so awkward when I do that. He loses. It's so good. I'm sorry. I'm so. He's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me a lot.
But the guy, the black guy on the show, couldn't get any work after Wonderbug, so he went into porn.
Yikes!
And but I bought, and it's funny because I bought one of the porns he's in, and I kept looking at him, going, "That guy looks so familiar." And I saw his name, and I'm like going, "Oh my god!" And he doesn't actually do any fucking. He's just one of those actors that's hired to be one of the guys walking around talking. It was in The Devil and Miss Jones 2 that came out in the 90s and early 90s. And he's the devil that walks Miss Jones around. And he never partakes in the goody stuff. But I'm like, so that's where he went. Oh. And now you know.
Yeah, now we know that Gary watches all of a porno film.
Yeah, but he only goes for the ones that he used to draw stuff first.
He's
I wanted to be a storyboard artist for porn.
Well,
you know what's sad is that they
There's no
used to
such
do
thing.
storyboards for porn.
Yes, it literally just gives a man a reason to use a whiteboard to draw dicks everywhere. That's pretty much what it would be. Like,
Giant
hired to draw dicks.
Yeah, well, you remember Ginger Lynn? She originally started out in porn and then tried to make a move to regular movies and films.
There's I can't remember
The only
her
one
name.
successful to do it is Tracy Lord. To my knowledge.
There's some. Have you ever seen the show Space Above and Beyond?
Yep.
Yes.
One of the actors in there, I think, one of like the 40-year-old ones in there was a porn star in that series. I can't remember her name though.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Hang on, I know the name.
I have the DVD. One sec. I got the DVD.
I do have the DVD. I know who you're talking
Didn't
about.
go by her porn star name though.
I'm sorry, script. I got to move you closer to me because I don't know where his t-shirt's been.
That's fair.
Yep. She played one of the robots. Which is why I remember her because that was they weren't on the show much.
I'm upset though that we never got a Debbie Does Dallas cartoon because they could have went with that, right? New band comes to Dallas every week, and other. Don't go.
Bakshi should have done that after
Who?
Fritz the Cat.
Yeah,
Ralph Bakshi.
Ralph Bakshi.
Oh yeah,
because he did not mind animating fucking. He did not.
He sure didn't.
You guys have like a history of knowing this, eh?
Well, when
we are pop
first
culture pros.
Yeah,
it's for science.
When you go to a drive-in
called Porn Culture Minefield or something.
That's a good idea.
Hey, that is a good idea.
That is a good. Let's copyright that.
No, when you go to a drive-in and they're showing cartoons and they go through one and then Fritz the Cat comes up and you realize this is not so Disney of these people. That's a different kind of movie. So
yeah, I remember my dad got pissed later when he found out that he gave me permission to go see Fritz the Cat with a friend of mine, and he thought it was like a kid's cartoon, and then he found out later through one of his friends that it was not, and I was not allowed out of the house for like weeks.
Well, that's like asking your parent. That's like you're asking your parents to rent Cool World, and they have no idea what's happening. And the next thing you know, you're seeing almost a see-through dressed Holly walking down with Brad Pitt, and you're like, I don't know.
You know what?
What?
You know what? Cool World might as well just be a G-rated film compared to Fritz.
Yeah, there's nothing in Cool World. That's like
okay.
That was the disappointment.
Here it is. Okay. Originally, her porn star name was Ashlyn Gear. Her name is Kimberly Patton, and she played Felicity O.H. in the silicate in the episode Choice or Chance in Space Above and Beyond.
Wow.
Felicity O.H. or Felicity O?
No, it's Felicity. Well, O. Yeah. They didn't. I don't ever remember them actually using her name in the show, to be quite honest. But I do remember it was Ashlyn Gear because she was credited as Ashlyn Gear originally, and I was like, the porn star. So.
Yeah, I didn't know that until like one of my friends was doing kind of a biography on Tracy Scoggins, who if you don't know, she's like an actor in Hollywood who, even at her current age, which I think is like in the late 60s, she has the body of like a 28-year-old. Every casting director I've ever met has said she's got the best body in Hollywood has ever seen, and she is gorgeous. But apparently, like, she was working in sci-fi stuff, and people were comparing her to all these other things. And doing the research on the doc about her, they started talking about like people mistook her for various porn stars that were trying to transition into acting, and then they talked like the people thought she was on because she went on Babylon 5, and people thought that she was the same person on Space Above and Beyond, and then that ended up being another story. And that's how I learned of that stuff, of like other actors trying to porn actors transitioning into professional, so to speak, like non-porn professional.
She was great in Babylon 5.
She's the final season of Babylon 5, right? Yeah.
Yep, and then she came back for the TV movie that was supposed to be a pilot for something else they were attempting to do for Babylon 5, and it didn't quite go, but she was very good. She was very good in it. Great soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
But Ralph Bakshi, after all that sex stuff, ended up making a Saturday morning cartoon that in itself was also very subversive. They allowed him to bring back Mighty Mouse. And
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that Mighty Mouse cartoon was subversive AF. Oh my gosh, the stuff they got away with on that one. And that's Saturday morning stuff. It's Saturday morning. It's like, wow. Whew. And I just kept thinking, you guys hired the guy that made Fritz the Cat. What did you expect? Oh, bye, Terry.
Bye, Terry.
No, they managed to do jokes, some adult humor, and also some humor at the expense of other animated shows. And I mean, they just took on everybody. But it's the writers' room for that show is filled. The writers and animators, that's pretty much all the next generation of people who would be important in the 90s and beyond in animation.
Mm-hmm.
You had people there that would work or create shows like Ren and Stimpy.
Yes.
Yeah, John Cascafalusa, who's just a weird fucking dude.
Yeah, he was the head guy. He worked directly for Ralph Bakshi, and he was the one that ran the writers' room and the creative stuff for that show. But it also included people like many of the guys that would go on to create Batman the Animated Series and just dozens of other things throughout the 90s.
Okay.
I mean, that show is an important show to the history of animation for the 80s and 90s and beyond. So
I have a question. Do you think Fritz the Cat in a way inspired the Heavy Metal cartoon movie in any way?
Only in so much as what you could get away with in animation.
Yeah.
The Heavy Metal magazine is actually based on a German magazine called Metal Hurlet.
Mm-hmm.
And they had been doing that for years. I mean, years.
Mm-hmm.
So making an animated film version, I mean, you probably did have quite a few people that were a part of that were fans of Ralph Bakshi, but all of that stuff came, the stories that they did in the Heavy Metal movie were actual stories from Heavy Metal magazine.
Yep.
They just animated them and just created a through line to tie all of the animation together.
And Marvel kind of came after Heavy Metal a little bit too, because they did their Epic Illustrated, which I actually kind of liked it a little bit better, but it wasn't as overtly erotic as Heavy Metal, if I remember.
Mm-hmm. But
I actually really liked Heavy Metal, but I liked the first one more than the second. And I think they also came out with a game for PC. Wasn't that in between, I believe?
They probably did.
The problem with the first Heavy Metal movie was you had so many different creators on that film, and the rights got all fucked up between everybody because you had Mebius working on it, you had you had Corbin working on it, you had all these guys working on that one film, and then the rights got all messed up, and for years they couldn't release it in any form. But you could catch it on HBO, so I remember a lot of people were bootlegging VHSs of the HBO showing.
Are your legs on my table?
They are. And
Bastard.
the reason the second one is...
sorry.
That too. Yeah, that too. The
soundtrack ran into problems too. And it's the reason why you can't buy the soundtrack without paying pretty much the original price that they had charged when it first came out. Yeah. Even though the movie's old as F. I mean, you're going to end up paying maybe $25, $30 almost for the soundtrack.
And it's a great soundtrack.
You can't find the score anymore. The score is discontinued.
The reason the second movie kind of sucks is because in order to avoid that, they pretty much stuck with just one team working on the whole thing. And that's also why there was no diverging plots and separate bits, which, that was kind of unfortunate. Yeah, just killed it.
Fact 2 could have been something, but everybody was expecting anthology. and all you got was one story.
Then I got a separate question to go in general because this kind of fall in. Let's go. What was your favorite opening theme to a cartoon that you remember? What was your favorite?
Oh,
what is the one you
really
can
good.
always go back to and you automatically know the words as soon as the music starts?
Johnny Quest.
Nice. Gary?
I'm sorry. What was the question? I was reading something that you wrote.
What's your favorite cartoon theme or opening theme that you can remember? Like your absolute favorite. Like when you hear it, you automatically know the words and you're automatically happy about it because you're thinking about it. And you know you have two at least.
Look, it's going to be either the Jetsons or the Flintstones.
Is that because you get to yell Wilma at the end?
No, it's just there's such upbeat, happy tunes. And both of them have sort of the same kind of ending with the Wilma thing.
Yeah. That's cool. What about you, Script?
Jane, how do you stop this crazy thing?
Of a cartoon theme?
Like the opening theme song. There has to be one like you always love. Like they got you going to watch the cartoon.
That's a good question. I can't think of anything offhand. I remember, like, especially ones with lyrics to them. I mean, the ones that lyrics. I mean, like, obviously you got, like, the Batman the Animated Series, and then that was big. X-Men the Animated Series by,
Pantera?
Wasserman. I can't remember his first name, but John Wasserman, maybe?
Yeah.
Conan the Adventurer had a funny cartoon theme.
Rambo had a funny cartoon theme. Mr. T had a funny cartoon theme.
Yep.
You guys are forgetting one of the best ones. Come on, Ghostbusters at least. Come on, you're forgetting Ghostbusters, and I'm going to throw in Sailor Moon there because I still
wait. Ghostbusters. You mean the real Ghostbusters?
The real first cartoon where they actually had the theme from the movie in the actual animated series at the same time.
That's not the first one.
That snapping.
No,
no. I know which one you're talking about. That's the first one, the really wonky one. The Hanna-Barbera one's not the one I'm talking about. I know that one, and every time I see that pop up, I'm like, I really want to watch this, but at the same time, I'm going to be terrified. But I got to do it.
What with Spencer, Tracy, and Kong?
Yeah, that we need. There's another monkey you were talking about. We got to get another monkey or gorilla in there just to please
that
those
was in the
children.
live action part from the early 70s?
Yeah. It had Larry Storch and Forrest Tucker from F Troop.
Wow.
And they brought in
Bob,
what's his name, Keith?
Bob.
He was great.
God,
He played
his name.
They really
did
like
a lot
Bob.
of makeup work. You know, he's always in costume.
Yeah, he did a lot of makeup work and was a staple in sci-fi conventions for years. This guy had
and an avid
stories
collector
that
too.
quit.
He had a
he was the
almost
only person
rival Forrest J. Ackerman.
Yeah, Forrest J. Ackerman was the king as far as owning stuff. But this guy, Bob, God, I can't remember.
All right, well, they think of the Bob t-shirt. What about you? Because they're still bobbing around.
Okay, we talking about all cartoons or just the 70s?
Your most favorite.
Okay, that would be season 3 of Hokuto no Ken, A Fist of the North Star. That soundtrack was so heavy metal and so driving. It was just such a great soundtrack. Plus, it was a fucking awesome show, man. It's like my favorite anime and manga ever.
Because of fisting?
No.
And what was the name of it again?
The Fist of the North Star, or Hokuto no Ken.
I think I've only ever seen the cartoon movie of
Japanese?
that.
Huh?
There's actually a game for it, too.
Second part of the name in Japanese. What was that?
Hokuto.
No, not the first one. The second one.
No Ken?
Just fucking with you.
Did he use his left or his right fist? Which one was the North Star? Which one was the South Star?
He was good with both of them. And there was a Fist of the South Star. It was actually the Fist of the Southern Cross.
Yeah.
Bob Burns, Keith. Bob Burns.
I put it in private chat.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking looking it up.
T-shirt was talking.
Yeah, honestly, Rowan has a good one too. Like Cowboy Bebop had a great one. Trigun also had a great one. If you want to go that route. What was the other one? There was another one I loved. Do you remember the old BattleTech? What they started introducing CG for the robot mech fights? Nope, I'm the only one. All right, thanks, man.
Is that the one with like the weird clans?
Yeah. It was it's
I
pretty much
remember
what Mech Warriors started coming out in games like. You know what I mean? Like you had the Wolf Clan, the Fire Clan, all that stuff. Yeah. That's awesome. Do you guys want to add anything else?
There's an animated show that I'm watching with Deanna, and it's available on Netflix in the American dub version. But we got the new season in Japanese with subtitles. And I realized watching the second season that the Japanese version has a whole different opening theme song. And that's Beastars.
That's common.
And
wait, Beastars second season's out?
Yeah, it's out. And
I love that. Oh my God.
That theme song from the Japanese version is so much better than what they put on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Rowan, you just nailed it again. The first opening song for the first season, Orange Range Asterisk, is actually that song. And I had that song on repeat on my MP3 player till that MP3 player divorced me. It was. I love that song. I have a lot of anime themes that I just love, but that one was so good. There was another one by Yui, and she did one called Shooting Star, and it's great. She did all the piano herself, all the vocals herself, and you get blown away when you hear her sing it.
And I just shared the link for you guys in private chat to listen to that song from Beastars.
I will definitely check that out. Mighty Mouse is your favorite thing, Keith? You didn't want to say that out loud? Really?
Here I come to save the day.
I bet he says that every time he comes down for dinner.
You know what? That's actually the minor documentary about Mighty Mouse.
Oh, okay.
I just opened it. Oh my God, it's got porn in it. Why didn't you warn me?
Yes,
oh God.
Well, it's literally Mighty Mouse doing naked yoga. It's disgusting. You're welcome, Keith. We're making you a delinquent without having to try.
Wow.
That's just for you, Amanda.
DuckTales was great. I love that one. Bloody Stream by Coda. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. JoJo was great for one thing. That intense stare that just creeped everyone out. It was like picture Sherlock Holmes, but with an intense stare, like you're like a fat
They
kid.
stole that. They stole that from Hokuto no Ken. They stole that from Fist of the North Star.
Okay.
Let's fist again, like we did last summer.
Oh, stop!
Now I'd love keep doing it. Keep doing it. I love it. Just don't get me copyright.
Let's fist again, like we did last year. Do you remember when it was just about hummers? Let's fist again. Fisting time is here.
I think we found a new closing song.
My brother and I made that up in high school.
Dexter's was also good. Yeah, I remember Dexter's. Oh my God, there was one that was so good. I can never. I'm not gonna lie. I remember when they redid for YT. I think it was on YTV up here, but they did the Flash Gordon animated series. I love that intro with the guitar riff. That was.
Oh
great.
yeah, that had Paul Schaefer as the scientist guy,
Dr. Zoloft,
yeah.
Oh, and the Batman theme, the theme from the cartoon called The Batman. That theme was done by The Edge from YouTube.
Which season though? Because they changed the theme.
The first season was The Edge. The second season was from what's his name from.
It was Zarkov.
Dr. Zarkov. The second one was more akin to the 60s style with like a modern twist.
Yeah, but that was from a guy from a famous band, a British band. What was the dude's name?
That British guy?
I think it was a member of The Clash. They got a member of The Clash to do the theme.
That is great. Like there were so many good anthems. Like we should even just do an episode about anthems because like anime especially, like that's one thing that caught me with anime is that when you watch an anime series and you hear an opening song, it was nothing like the Western style songs, right?
No kidding.
It was very emotionally attaching. They had lyrics, they had songs, and they were able to actually put the imagery with the actual song to a point where you already felt like you wanted to jump right in.
There was also the theme song to Gundam Wing was pretty badass.
Which Gundam? There's like 800 of them.
No, Gundam Wing, the 95 one, I think.
95?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. I think we're running out of steam. Should we call it a night, guys? I think we've done a pretty good first episode.
I'm pretty excited.
It's been about 90 minutes.
Yeah, Bleach was a good one too. I love Bleach. One thing about Bleach, it's not even the theme. It's when the first episode when Ishigo becomes the Soul Reaver, and that guitar riff starts going. That effing guitar riff always got me going. So it was perfect, so perfect.
Now, I'm not sure if somebody said it already, but I don't think so. Is the X-Men animated series?
I already said that one.
Yeah, script.
Did
Yeah, the
you?
Pantera, right?
I love that.
John Wasserman, who did Power Rangers at the same time.
Copyright.
And Shirley Walker's work on Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, she did Batman. She did the Superman one, and I think her last one was Justice League because she passed away, sadly.
She did Space Above and Beyond also.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Well, she was the one that helped Danny Elfman during Tim doing Tim Burton's score. She was there.
Wow.
That's why they hired her on the animated series, because they couldn't afford Danny Elfman, and two, they're like, well, we need someone who can do a whole like rendition of it that's familiar enough but also unique. And I think it was Danny Elfman that said, yeah, Shirley Walker, she was my partner to help me compose the theme, so hire her. And she was
like
fantastic.
all of the music that they released from that, all the different shows they did, but all that music from Batman the Animated Series was just freaking amazing.
Yeah, they have
orchestra.
They had a real orchestra. I actually bear with me a second, because I actually have one of the names of one of the other guys who was in the running for the Batman animated series theme. They hired him for a couple of episodes. One of them was A Night in Crime Alley. It's because they wanted to do a new Batman theme. And I'm just pulling up his name now because I got to go through my actual soundtrack collection here. And let's see here. Crap, what's his name?
Fooly Cooley, yes, I remember that one too.
Stuart Balcombe, there it is. Stuart Balcombe, it was the other guy who was who did some of the stuff. He did one of the better other alternate themes of Batman for that show, and it's so Appointment in Crime Alley is the episode, so check him out. He was really good.
We're forgetting one. Fox Kids Spider-Man, when they did the animated series again, they had that
right, that was done by one of these guitarists from Aerosmith, I think.
Yeah,
came in to help that.
Spider-Man.
And before we go, I want to point out one song. I watched
that was a cool one.
I used to watch a cartoon with my kid and called Inspector Gadget. That even though it's a silly song, I enjoyed the crap out of the Inspector Gadget theme.
I remember Inspector Gadget. Yeah, that was a good one. The remake that they try to do is not that great.
No, the original one in '88, I think it was. I really enjoyed that. My kid, he put that on. I'd sit with him and watch it, and I'm like, it's a catchy little tune. It's got Don Adams from Get Smart in it, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Don Adams as Inspector Gadget.
Wow.
Hold on, and before we actually go out, I actually want to share this one, because I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but I just want them to hear it quickly. We're not going to get copyright claim for it, I hope. But yeah, I just.
It's under 4 seconds. You should be good.
Just give me 1 second. Yeah, it should be under 4 seconds. Let's go back to flow. Bam. Bam. Now, everyone remembers the first episode. Everyone should remember this sound. I'm going to make sure the volume's up. And do you hear that tone?
Oh, the flute, yeah.
When that sound came in Bleach, dude, you were already hooked. You were hooked at that point. That was like the crystal meth that Dave Chappelle always talked about.
Yeah, they added distortion to it that made it sound crunchy. It was really cool.
It was really, really, really good. Yeah. Inuyasha was a good one. There were so many good ones. We had Hunter x Hunter. We had Devil Hunter Yoko, Detective Conan. There were so. The Guyver was even a great theme.
Ghost in the Shell season 2.
I never got a chance to see the Guyver cartoon series.
Oh, dude, gotta find
that.
You do. You really do. You can find it all online. It's great. It's even on YouTube, I think. But this is where we're going to close out. I think we did a great first episode. I want to thank the chat for showing up, dropping by, smashing a like, participating. We're going to do another episode, and we're going to get a better formula as it goes along. But it looks like cartoons can keep people together. We got Pop Culture Minefields. You can find them definitely at Pop Culture Minefield, where Keith will be saying something about fisting. We have Script Doctor, who is a doctor of scripts, and we have T-shirt Historian, who is now shirtless, but not on my table. Do you guys want to close out and give yourselves channels away?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay, great.
Let's focus on Fat Steven today, and if you haven't subbed, please sub to Fat Steven and drop a like.
Yeah. I should have my watch hours completed by the end of the week, and all I now do is working on the subs. Yeah, that was great.
I look forward to doing this again next week too, when I'm not feeling like shit.
Me too.
Drugged up.
I want to thank Heavy Metal Mama, Rowan Ginger Raven, Amanda Jillian Presents, or AGP. We had Real Wade Nation, Galadorn, T-shirt Historian, who was also on the panel. There were so many people that came through. I'm trying to go back through it all. We had YetiCast for a brief moment. I don't know where he went. Terry Wilkin. We had Subhuman, Rebecca Early. What was that one? Who was the dad one? I can't remember the dad's name properly. I keep calling him dad, but it's something else. All you guys were great. I'm bad at closing. I'm going to finish off with something a little more C-Lab, and then we're going to go into really crappy music. So do you guys have anything else to say?
Thanks for coming by. This was a great break from the normal news cycle that we normally chat about. This was much needed.
Okay,
like I said, I look forward to next week.
Yeah,
this is a fun show.
Okay, why C-Lab?
Can you feel it when I do this? No. Can you feel it when I do this? No. Can you feel it when I do this? No. Hey, idiots! What time is it? Exactly 3:14 and change.